Hey everyone, good to see you today. So, today we have a new setup. I'm doing things a little differently. Thanks to my amazing partner, I have a microphone set up now. Woo, the world is good. Among other things, I'm sitting back farther from the camera, and that means that you're getting less glare off my glasses. Although I can see that if I'm up here, you still get it, but that's okay. Um, yeah, so I have a new setup. I have things that are a little more professional in sound. My sound pop is hopefully doing a good job. My mic is supposed to be up here. So hopefully everything is just doing what it's supposed to be doing. Yay. I'm still getting used to all the bits and pieces. So, yeah. So, I wanted to talk about growing things because spring is a time when we are renewing ourselves and uh, not so much making, like New Year's, we make resolutions. It's not like that, but we get more energy. And that's just natural because as we get more sunlight to our day, we have more general energy. Our body makes vitamin D. We get energized. We have more time to do things. And it's frankly just a lot more enjoyable to do it because it's not bitter and cold outside. Excuse me. So there are lots of things that happen in the spring. For me right now, I'm finishing up the van life cookbook, which is coming along swimmingly. I'm at the history part, and then I have some testing and whatnot to do to tighten up the recipes, and then it will be going out. Woo woo! So hopefully by fall, if I'm self-publishing, you should be seeing it by maybe August, September, certainly in time for Christmas. And if it's being published by a traditional publisher, that will be on them. I have no idea. Sorry, I didn't get enough sleep lately. Um, right, growing things. So I don't know if anybody's looked at the prices in the grocery store lately, but it's hellacious. It's terrible. How expensive. So we should be aware that as Americans, we are privileged. Okay. A lot of the food that we buy is cheaper here than it is anywhere else in the world. And that's because it's subsidized by our government. And a lot of people don't realize that, but that's the case. And the same thing with our gas. I know that sticker shock at the gas station right now is high, but keep in mind that people in other places in the world, Canada, Britain, the European Union, have routinely been paying the equivalent of $7 and $8 per gallon of gas at the tank. Now that the prices are going up, they're paying $8 and $9. We're still getting the bonus end of the deal, let me just say. So, as much as things are expensive, let's just take that moment and understand that we're in a very good place. Certainly better than large portions of the rest of the world. And it's true, I appreciate what I have here in the US. It's good. Um, Number two, um, yes, I'm sorry, I have been looking at the prices of groceries in the store, and everything is so expensive. Oh my gosh. So this year, we're growing more food. For the last several years, we were actually part of a local farm co-op where we paid in and we got veggies after the fact. And we didn't do it last year because of COVID and other things. Um, and this year, honestly, we can't afford it. Hint, buy more books. Um, So rather than depending on someone else to do the farming in exchange for our cash, we're doing the farming ourselves. We don't have a huge garden like we used to. At one point, we lived on a small farm and we had over an acre just kitchen garden. And it was wonderful. I mean, I loved it. But we also had 6 able bodied people helping out with that. And it was necessary. You can't do that with just one person. My little backyard garden, when I do it by myself, I can bring in, a year's worth of green beans and some tomatoes. But we talked about it, and the whole family is getting in on this year's vegetable garden. And so it's going to be bigger than usual. I'm going to have potatoes, tomatoes, beans, not green peppers, hot peppers, cucumbers. We picked a melon. I haven't had success with melons up to date, but we're giving honeydew a try. Because we can. Or not honeydew, cantaloupe. The orangey one. We also know places where we can go to get free blueberries, free blackberries, free apples. It just requires us to do work. And so we're making the time to do that this year. It's harder, but it's also worthwhile because we'll be able to put up our own food. But with spring comes the time to plant veggies and get them started, but it's also the time to clean up the yard and start checking to make sure that the lawnmower works and that you have your, edger, string cutter, whatever, ready to go. It's the time of year when we pull out the less warm clothing. Obviously not quite yet, but I had out my warmer clothing, and then it dipped down to like 13 last night. And so, it's a little chilly right now. But the warmer weather is here. That was an anomaly, and the warmer weather will be here. I mean, we're just barely hitting freezing the next few nights. I think we've, gotten past the worst of it. Certainly, knock on wood, there won't be any more snow. So it's time to start looking at all the different things that have to be done outside. I have to bring out my patio chairs and set them up outside because that's one of the places that I like to do my videos. And I also like to do some of my writing in the summer. I go out, sit outside, get fresh air. I have to get my hammock out, get all my camping things together, and get ready for my appearances at book fairs, local events, Renaissance fairs, and SCA events. And so there's a lot of prep involved. And this year I'm actually sewing some outfits. I had intended to do that previously, like a couple months ago and, during the pandemic, but that didn't happen. So it is what it is. I meant to do a lot of things during the pandemic. I wrote a cookbook, so I'm considering myself in a fairly good place, but I didn't get my sewing done. So that's fine. I'm sewing now. It's all good. So what else? I'm prepping my book for publishing, whether it's by myself or a traditional publisher, doesn't really matter. The same general preps have to be done. And on top of that, we also have prepping for, as I said, the various appearances that we're going to be making and the books that will be coming in the future. And once the van life cookbook is done, I'm actually going to be working on a cookbook for people who are new to cooking and maybe even new to living on their own. A long time ago, and let me see if I can pull it out here. Usually I have this on the table. Excuse me. So this is The Practical Housekeeper. And as you can see, this is a very old book. I'm very lucky in that it has handwritten recipes on the inside. And look at that, really old newspaper clippings and stuff. This book was published in 1901, and it is an encyclopedia of domestic economy. Now, I use this book a lot because it has some great recipes in it and some fun things and some patterns and medicines and that kind of thing. Not everything in there is applicable to today's world. But you know what we don't have out there right now? The practical housekeeper for the 2000s. Um, there are a lot of people out there who never learned to cook, who, because of rising prices, are looking at things like, can I buy beans and cook them from dry instead of the expensive cans? Can I, but you have to know what to do with them. Um, a lot of people who are prepping for future emergencies, whether that's a power outage, the possibility of EMPs, or God forbid, Russia invading Alaska. Um, I mean, we've got a ton of things happening in the world right now, and being prepared for short to medium term emergencies is not a bad thing. But all those preps don't do you any good unless you actually know what to do with them. And The Practical Housekeeper was a book that was printed to teach young women, not young men, of course, because young men at the time didn't do these things, but young women, how to start a household in case their mothers had been too busy to teach them that. And also, it was the changeover from the time when there were servants in a lot of houses to houses that had mechanical servants, such as electric or gas stoves, electric lights, telephones, um, and later on, washing machines, things that made life easier and meant that you didn't have to have servants in your house. And that changeover was very fraught with a lot of drama. If you're interested in seeing some of it, there's a great show called Downton Abbey, which a lot of you probably know about. Now, that's the English version, but America's not all that different. It came at a different time. I think America kind of switched over before England did because we're a different kind of people. But the basic ideas are the same. There comes this time when you don't need to hire a young boy from the household to stand and hold toast over the fire because you have a toaster. You don't need to have 5 maids to clean the main room of your house. You only need 1 because now you have a vacuum. Just the amount of time and space saving things that happened from 1800 through 1930 was so immense that we ended up with a large group of people who didn't know how to take care of a house of the kind that they now had. And they couldn't go and ask mom because mom would have said, well, have your maid do it. Well, mom, I don't have a maid. But looking at these older books, like The Practical Housekeeper, you can't do a direct translation. I mean, I can open this, and I have a wonderful chapter on how making a good pastry is good, but it's not enough. You need to be able to do advanced pastries in order to keep your husband happy. We don't need that today. How many table linens you need. Again, we don't need that. Not everybody uses table linens. How to start a wood stove. Okay, I mean, it's nice to know, but it's not a necessary skill today. How to heat up an iron. Well, today all you do is flick it on. Back then they had to heat it up on the stove, and so on and so on. So this book is out of date. So what I want to do is my next cookbook is actually going to be The Practical Housekeeper of the 21st Century. And I'm going to take kind of the basic framework from The Practical Housekeeper and bring it forward and write something that is of use to today's youth who are moving out on their own, need some basic recipes, instructions for, how do you run a dishwasher? How do you load a dishwasher? How do you, these basic tools that many of us really take for granted because we just know, but we didn't always teach our kids. not everybody did. So, yeah. Upcoming appearances. I have my next appearance is going to be at the New Hampshire Renaissance Fair, and that is May 14th and 15th, and the 21st and the 22nd. That's the second and third weekends of May. I will probably be there at least one weekend as Sister Agnes of the Immaculate Privies. I haven't quite decided yet, but it's always fun when I pull out my 14th century Cistercian nun. Also, remember, New Hampshire Renaissance Fair is always looking for volunteers. If you would like to volunteer, you can go to www.nhrrenfaire.com and look under the volunteer section. I think it's under how you can help. There's a sign up, and remember, it is a 501c3 charitable corporation, so you are helping out your community. I will be at the Moultonborough Public Library on Monday, June 13th at 6 p.m. I will be doing a cooking demo and talk about my cookbook, and that will be probably from 6 to 7:30, I think. And there will be food, so if you're up near Lake Winnipesaukee, drop in and say hi. I would love to see you. The main Renaissance Fair is the last 2 weeks of July, the 23rd, 24th, 30th, and 31st. I will be with the Brotherhood of the Arrow and Sword, and I'll be doing cooking demos and talking about medieval life, so you're welcome to come by and see me. And then after that, August 6th and 7th is the Massachusetts Ren Fair, just one weekend this year. After that, we have the first year of a brand new Renaissance Fair, which is tentatively titled the Regatta Renaissance Fair. That's August 27th. And I'll get more info to you guys about that later. I'm still waiting on final info from the organizers. I will again be at the Auburn Duck Race Day. It's September 10th. That's a Saturday. It is the 29th Auburn Duck Race Day, and I'll be down Author Alley presenting whatever books I happen to have at the time. Hopefully, and cross my fingers, the new cookbook will be out, or at least I'll be able to give people details and stuff. And then we have September 17th and 18th is the Phoenix Fruit Festival, and October 1st is the Blacksmith Festival, otherwise known as the Fitchburg Forge Inn. So really busy summer and fall. I really need to get moving. I have medieval underwear to sew. I have 2 towels that have to be done. I have 2 tunics that have to be done all before the second weekend of May. It's crazy. But hey, it is what it is. I hope I see you all there. Take care, and I will see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's over here somewhere. Thanks, guys.